We always want to write the equation of lines in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In order to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, there's two pieces of information that we need to find. Our first piece of information is our slope. So step one to write the equation of a line is to always find the slope. Now to find the slope, we have different ways that we can problem solve. If we're given 2 points, we can use the slope formula. Which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If we have parallel lines, our slopes are going to be equal. If we have perpendicular lines, our slopes are going to be opposite, reciprocal. If we have horizontal lines, our slopes are going to be 0. And if we have vertical lines, our slopes are going to be undefined. If we have a vertical line, we're going to have to write the equation not as a function in slope-intercept form, but as a rule for x. X equals a number. After we found the slope in step 1, we need to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is your b. There's 2 methods to find the slope, or excuse me, to find the y-intercept. Method 1 is the point slope formula. The point slope formula looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Once we plug in our slope and one of the values that the line goes through, x1, y1, we need to then solve for y. And when we solve for y, our line will be written in slope-intercept form. Method 2. Plug in and solve for b. And what do I mean by plug in and solve for b? Well, we're going to take the equation y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in the slope that we just found from step 1, and we're going to plug in an x value and a y value, and then solve for b. After we've solved for b, we need to write the equation. Let's look at a problem where we need to write the equation of the line. Well, we know that our line passes through these 2 points. So step 1, find the slope. In this case, since we have 2 points that the line goes through, we're going to want to use the slope formula. Step 2, we need to find the y-intercept. Now I can use either method, method 1 or method 2. For this example, I'm going to pick method 1. I'm going to take the formula y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and I'm going to plug in the information that I know. I know that m has to be negative 2, and I know that x1 is going to be negative 5. And I know that y1 is going to be 9. Now I could pick this point, it doesn't really matter, and plug this point in for x1, y1. I will get the same answer. I just picked this point as an example. Now I need to solve for y. Notice that I rewrote x plus 5 before I tried to distribute. I need to make sure that I'm conscious of all my negative signs. I'm left with y equals negative 2x minus 1. I can always check my answer on my calculator. To check my answer on the calculator, I'm going to go to y equals, clear out anything that's in there, make sure that my plots are turned off. If I have a plot highlighted, if I have a plot turned on, scroll up to it, hit enter, and that'll turn off the plot. And I'm going to enter in negative 2x minus 1. And then I'm going to go to Zoom Standard. Zoom Standard gives me a graph where my x values go from negative 10 to positive 10, and my y values go from negative 10 to positive 10. Zoom Standard just gives me a good generic graph. To check to see if this is correct, to see if this is the correct line, I need to make sure that this line goes through these 2 points. So I'm going to hit the trace button. When I hit the trace button, I can scroll left and right and trace on my line. But I want a very specific x value. I want x to be negative 5. If I try to scroll to negative 5, I'm not going to get to negative 5 exactly. I'm going to come close, but I'm not going to get there exactly. So I'm going to type in, after hitting trace, negative 5. If you notice, x equals negative 5 pops up. When I hit enter, there's my value, negative 5, 9. So my line goes through this point, and if I type in negative 4, my line also goes through my second point. So I know that this is the correct answer. You should never get one of these problems wrong, especially with a graphing calculator, to double check your answers. Let's look at problem number 2. Step 1, find the slope. In this problem, again, I'm given 2 points. Since I'm given 2 points, I'm going to use the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 4 minus negative 4 is negative 4 plus 4, which is 0. 2 minus negative 4 is 2 plus 4, which is 6. And 0 divided by 6 is 0. So the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points is 0, which tells me that I have a horizontal line. Now, a horizontal line is a function, so I'm still going to write the equation in slope-intercept form. If I had a vertical line, I can't write a vertical line in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to have to do something else. In this case, I can keep going with my methods to find the y-intercept. I picked method 1 in the first example. I'm going to pick method 2 in the second example. Method 2 starts with y equals mx plus b. And I plug in the things that I know have to be true. My slope has to be 0. And now I know a couple other points. When x is negative 4, y has to be negative 4. When x is 2, y has to be negative 4. I can pick either one of these 2 points and think of these as input-output functions. I can plug in negative 4 for x and output negative 4 for y. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to plug in negative 4 for x, and my output is going to be negative 4. So this x value gets put right here, and this y value gets put right here. And I still have the plus b. Now I just need to do the math. 0 times negative 4 is 0. And solve for b. 0 plus b is just b. So in this case, b equals negative 4. So I figured out b. Now I need to write the equation of my line. Well, the equation of my line is going to be y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. I'm going to have y equals 0x plus negative 4. But I can simplify this. Y equals 0 times x is 0. And 0 plus negative 4 is just negative 4. So the equation of this line is just y equals negative 4. Which makes sense because we knew with a slope of 0 we had a horizontal line, and all horizontal lines are written as y equals a number. And in this case, the y value has to be negative 4. To check that answer, I can use my calculator. Go to y equals, clear out my graph, type in y equals negative 4, zoom standard. There's my horizontal line. If I hit trace and I type in negative 4, input negative 4, output negative 4. Input 2, output negative 4. So this line, this equation, does go through these 2 points.